So welcome to a new Game Stuff episode, and I was just sitting here, there's some people drilling outside, and I was waiting for that to stop, and I was sitting here looking at some of the games that I'm going to show today, and I was thinking back to all my memories with them and all that kinds of stuff, and I just had this kind of crazy thought, and I've had it many times before, that I remember some of these games when they first came out so well. You guys know, for a lot of you who've been watching for 11 years with the show, that I always talk about my video game memories and stuff like that. I was sitting here and I couldn't believe that I remember when these games came out, what I was doing, what I was having for breakfast that morning, incredibly well. And I only have it with video games and certain music as well. But it's weird how video games have almost been the fabric of my entire life of being able to piece it together through memories. It's really strange. I think it's because I've enjoyed video games so much and they had such an impact on me whenever they came out during the years that they were a big deal to me, that I always remembered what was happening in my life. And a lot of people have laughed going, I can't believe you remember playing Govelius, back in like 1989 with my friend Swagger. His name was Richard. And I remember we were eating noodles. I remember what kind of noodles. I remember they were Mr. Noodles. I remember everything about it, but a lot of you out there must have the same thing. Anyway, sorry. I was just sitting here and I just was laughing at myself about, why I have all these memories and why I remember them so well to do with video games. And it was just kind of a funny moment before I started the episode. And I thought I'd just share that. Anyways, that kind of leads us in to the very first thing here that I'm going to show. And unfortunately, it was a little damaged. I've had a few things arrive lately that have been damaged. And that is the Resident Evil 2 soundtrack. What a classic. And yeah, it got really crunched here. And even the mail guy came to deliver it to me. And he's like, oh, I'm really sorry. He goes, I don't know how this happened. He goes, I received it this way. He goes, I think it was in, when they were sorting it, it kind of got crunched or whatever. And so I was so worried that it would be the discs that got kind of like crunched up, and I was like, oh my god, imagine that. But thank God the vinyl records are around, so it avoided it. So this it got bent, unfortunately. But let's have a look at the artwork here. So we got that there, got the back going on, and then I took that off just to show you the middle. And it is 2 discs long, and there's a lot of music on here. I had the CD soundtrack of this, but it was cool. I was sitting a couple of weeks ago listening to this, and I had all the blinds shut. It was kind of dark in my place. I was having a coffee, and I was just listening to this music. And yes, how I started this episode, it totally took me back to the late 90s playing this, and just that opening music when you get into the Raccoon Police Department. I mean, nothing could be more nostalgic than that music to me. I'm sure to you, a lot of you out there as well. Unbelievable. So I picked this up. Very, very great soundtrack, and one that I will be listening to on Halloween. Now, this next one is a funny item, and there's a whole story behind it. Is that basically Sony got in touch with me, and basically the God of War team had seen my review on their game for the PS4. And I guess they kind of liked my review. I really liked their game. And they asked if they could use some footage of mine from my review in an upcoming documentary on God of War. And of course I was like, yes. And I had to sign NDA after NDA to be a part of this and all that stuff, and saying, yes, you can use my footage. No, of course you can use my footage. Of course you can. And then the documentary came out, and it went onto YouTube. It's on YouTube for free. And so I guess it's called Raising Kratos, for anybody out there who's interested in seeing it. And so I was so curious to know what part did they put me in. And I even put it on Twitter. I said I got my 1 second of fame, that I'm in the end credits. As soon as the credits start to roll, they have me in there saying, it's my game of the year. That's the bit that I'm in there. And I thought that was quite a lot of fun. I was just happy to be included. I mean, what a childhood kind of like dream come true, that I've been into video games, and now I'm being kind of noticed by the video game companies. It's pretty cool. It's pretty awesome. So as a thank you, they sent me a physical copy of the Blu-ray, which was awesome. And it came in a box, and it came with a t-shirt, and they asked me my size and all that kind of stuff. But what I got, it's worked out for Kim really well, my wife. It was a medium, I need a large, a medium women's God of War t-shirt. So I'm like, I said, I can't wear this. And Kim's like, oh, this works for me. So she's worn it out a few times. And so we're getting a use out of that. And yeah, they gave me some popcorn with it in the box so I could watch the Blu-ray. And I thought that was really nice of them to send that, really thoughtful of them to send that. And really cool to be part of a God of War documentary, even if it was for 1 second. That's for sure. So, okay, now we're going to get into some games here. And there's some really cool stuff to talk about. This is the one that I was looking down at to begin with. When I started the whole opening monologue talking about memories and video games and all that, and the nostalgia just hit me. And I got in touch with Square Enix and I said, hey, do you have any physical copies of these games? Because I am a super fan and I've reviewed them so many times on the show. I talked about them so much. And that is, they sent this over to me, Final Fantasy X and X-2 and Final Fantasy XII on the Nintendo Switch. Very excited to get these games. I finished all of them. All of these games I finished. Well, I should say Final Fantasy XII was one that I started. I got 25 hours in. Kim finished this game. It was one of our bucket list. I sat on the couch and I watched her play it. It was awesome. And I hear nothing but great things about this version here on the Nintendo Switch. It's funny because, for a lot of these games, I got something to admit. This is interesting. For Final Fantasy X, when I first played it, I didn't like it too much. I finished it, but I was still like, no, it's not my top Final Fantasy game of all time. I guess I didn't enjoy the way they got rid of the world map. I thought it became too cinematic, not enough gameplay. I was just, I felt we were going in that direction at the time. X-2 is one that I'm going to talk about in the future. I got a whole thing for that. I'll leave that off, but I really enjoyed that game. Strangely, I know a lot of people didn't like it. I was laid off work at the time, and when it first came out, and I just finished the hell out of it, and I really liked it. And then Final Fantasy XII, I think what was kind of weird, it was a strange Final Fantasy. It felt more like an MMO. I think I've talked about that a lot before as well. But so these games, when they first came out, I had kind of a low opinion on. And, here's the thing of nostalgia, folks. Give it a bit of time. Give it a bit of time for me with, Final Fantasy X, which is like, what was it, 2000, 2001 when it came out? I think it was 2000. It blew my mind in thinking about it now, how much my love for it has increased. And the same for Final Fantasy XII. The nostalgia over time makes me love these games in the series. I think they're really wonderful, and sometimes I think they're very underappreciated Final Fantasy games, and I think they're really, really good. I highly recommend these. I can't wait to play them on the Switch, and I want to thank Square Enix for sending these over, because I am a huge fan of them. That is for sure. Now, I missed the review window on this, and I really, really regret it. And this is from NIS America, and it is Lapis Labyrinth. Has anybody heard of this game? I'm hearing some crickets out there, where some of you are going, no, I know this game, and it's interesting. This is a really fascinating game, and I've been looking at all sorts of gameplay. There's been a lot of reviews. Some people detest the game, where other people really love it. And I thought I'd unbox the special edition today. This was supplied by NIS. I want to thank them. They sent it over, and I just said, listen, I was so swamped. I said, I don't think I can get to a review. I'll try to do an unboxing of it and show what it has to offer and all of that. And this is going to be one of those games that I'm going to revisit again. I'll be talking about in an upcoming episode, because I really want to play this because of all the strange reactions to it. I like games like that have a very mixed reaction. Another game that had mixed reactions was Days Gone. Some people hated the game. Well, for myself, I loved it. So, never judge a book by its cover. Never go fully with the reviews. Okay, here we go. Here is the Switch version. Here's the physical copy of the game itself, and let's see what else is in here. With any special edition comes the soundtrack. This is no different right here. Very cool. Yeah, NIS releases a lot of interesting games that always get passed up on, and I really want to represent their games. That's why I ask for them at times, because I really want to give them the attention they deserve. Here's a nice little photo album. Here's a little art book. on the characters. And the one thing that you can always say about NIS games is the artwork is always really beautiful. And this is kind of a side view action RPG where you're gathering loot, and it's just absolute mayhem, and you can kind of put your characters on top of each other and stagger them that way to get through certain encounters and get the best kind of loot that you can. And it's very unusual style of game, and it's a game that I'm very interested in playing, that's for sure. So okay, now we get into 2 limited run games. I tell you, I hummed and hawed about this one for a long time. I'm like, am I going to do this? Am I not going to do this? I kept going to the bite now. No, I won't do it. Yes, I will do it. No, I won't. And then I finally was like, John, you got to get this. It's the King of Fighters 97, a PS4 physical copy released by Limited Run. I was like, I got to get it. I'm a huge SNK King of Fighters fan, and I thought, how could I not pick this up? This is such a great series of games. The King of Fighters series, man, it's been going for so many years, since 94. I was a huge fan of it then, I'm a big fan of it now, and Limited Run always sucks me back in. Every time I think I'm out, they bring me back in. And oh boy, this is a goodie. And I got something to say about this one, is that I obviously backed Bloodstained. I got my physical copy. I've been playing the game recently, and it is awesome. And they released an 8-bit game called The Curse of the Moon, and I had not played the game. They gave me the code that came with Bloodstained. They gave that to me, and I was like, I never got a chance to get around to playing it. I was so busy through the year, but I had the code, and I'm like... And so anyways, I entered the code in the other night, and just before Bloodstained got released, and I started playing it, and I'm like, oh my god, why have I not been playing this game? It's an 8-bit game that expands on the Bloodstained universe. It was one of the perks of the Kickstarter. If they reached a certain amount of money, they would release an 8-bit game, and that is Curse of the Moon. And so that was so great. So I was playing that, but I also had a good feeling about it. I had to get the Nintendo Switch Limited Run Special Edition, which is right here. And I'm sorry, folks, I'm not opening this up. There's no need to open this up. The reason why is because I am playing the game. I have the game running on my PS4. This is, for me, being a collector, for say, I don't... It's funny because I have a massive collection, but it's not about just I have a collection. It's not about having a collection. They're all games that I really have an affection to. Because this was part of the Bloodstained universe, part of Koji Igarashi, I was like, yes, of course I'm going to get this. This is going to be great. And I remember I had some appointments I had to take my wife to, and I'm in the car, and I'm on my phone waiting in the truck, I should say, and I'm trying to get the game. I'm trying, because like these games sell out sometimes on Limited Run, and I'm like, oh my god, am I going to try to get this? Because I was like, no, I'm out for the day. I won't be able to get that. Forget it. I'll let it go. And I'm like, so I was in the car in the addiction zone. I'm like, no, I got to try to get it. And I'm like typing on my phone, and then I was able to get it, and all of a sudden I had to enter in my PayPal information and all of that. Usually on my own computer, I have that all saved. So it's like 1, 2, I can usually get through the checkout fast. But no, I had to enter everything manually. But amazingly, I was able to get the game. So pretty thrilled about that. Now, don't mind me while I grab my trusty reading glasses for this, because we're getting into the book section of this new Game Stuff episode. And let me say, I reached out to these guys because I love their books. They sent me the Super Famicom cover art book and their Neo Geo book, which is just off the hook, the best Neo Geo book I've ever seen. So they're like, hey, if you ever want any books in the future, you want to review them on your channel, we'd be happy to send them to you. And I was like, well, there is one book that looks incredibly great, and this is by Bitmap Books. Right here, it is a Sega Master System, a visual compendium. Now, for any of you out there, you know I'm a huge Sega Master System fanatic, crazy fan. I mean, there was the Nintendo, and then I saw the Master System, and I just fell in love with it, I fell in love with the games. Games like Phantasy Star, Govelius, Miracle Warriors. The list goes on. I played Ys, for the first time ever on the Master System. And some great action games on here. And the Alex Kidd games, the Fantasy Zone games. You can see I'm a bit of a fan. And so Bitmap Books has released this book, this book here. I'll put a link down below because I definitely want to support them. I definitely want to support amazing books like this, especially in such a digital age. Books are being forgotten about a little bit and they need a little bit of a push, and especially books on the Sega Master System. And last week, I gotta show you something else in here too. Last week I just poured over this book, and it is a beautiful tour de force of honoring the Master System. And there's something great in here. Here we go. Before we get into the book, it comes with 3D glasses. Because remember, there was 3D games on the Master System, and you could play them with the big 3D glasses that you could get, where some pages have 3D elements. And you can use the glasses in here. That is just the best. When I opened it up, I'm like, is this for real? And it is. This is a gorgeous book. Look at the big artwork on there. Here we go, like Spy versus Spy. That was one game. That was a big comic back in the day. I think it was in Mad Magazine. And I always wanted to play Spy versus Spy. That was a really big deal. I always wanted to play that because I always used to see that in the kiosk at my Save On Foods. And yeah, you gotta love the Master System artwork. And here we go, Fantasy Zone 2, The Tears of Opa Opa. It's funny, as I often say, I have such fond memories of Opa Opa and Fantasy Zone. Oh my god, because he was basically one of the mascots. And there we go, look at that, we got some good old Outrun happening, and this is such a great book. I'm gonna try to flip this way just so I can try to show you a little bit more. There we go, we got into some Phantasy Star, some Miracle Warriors happening there. That is just so great. I love this time in my life, I really do. And speaking of loving my time in my life, Rambo 3. Look at these graphics on the Master System. Look at that. Isn't that amazing what they could do back then? So awesome. So really awesome. Oh, God. Oh, I got a couple of things I want to show here. First of all, we got good old Zillion here. And if my friend Andrew ever is back in town, we're going to do a little talk about Zillion because he was always mad about, I made him buy that. And here we go. I love this. Miracle Warriors. One of the great RPGs on the Sega Master System. And we're just going to flip through here. And there's just so much. And there's so much history here within these pages and so much great artwork. Here we go. I mentioned this earlier. Govelius. Yeah, so I want to thank them so much for sending this over. We got some art type going on here. Always a big fan of Bitmap Books. I think they create some of the best video game books out there. They really do. I've never seen anything quite like them, just for the artwork and the layout. And look at this here. We got some Mark III covers going on. The gold cartridges that are just so classic. Wonderful stuff. Here we go. The Sega Master System, a visual compendium. Am I pimping this? Am I pushing this? You damn rights I am. You damn rights I am. It's just too damn good. Now, the next book here, I picked up on a whim. It showed up in my Twitter timeline, and I didn't know who this was or what this book was. It seemed to be an independent style of book, and it's a Dragon Quest. It's called The Legend of Dragon Quest, and it's written by a guy, I'm going to try to pronounce his name correctly, Daniel Andreev. I think that's how you pronounce it. I hope I'm pronouncing it well. And he's a journalist, and he decided to write his own book chronicling Dragon Quest. Yeah, all the inside stories of it being in Japan and it getting created over there, the story of Yuji Horii, and yeah, it's really fascinating stuff, and it's one of those books this summer I'm going to sit down and really read about. It's basically about the beginnings of Dragon Quest and what it took to create it and what direction it went in and the phenomena it became. And I think that's really great. There's not a lot of pictures, I guess, because of copyright, because this is an independent book. It's mostly writing, but I think there's a lot of research in here. I have read entire segments of this because I want to know what it was all about, especially for reviewing it or for talking about it here. this is fascinating. I can't even remember where I put, where I picked this up from. It showed up. It shipped really fast. I remember that. So the name of the book is The Legend of Dragon Quest, if anybody is interested in this right here. So, okay, I've got one more book to get through, and then I got something really cool from Japan that I'm going to look at for the very first time. I can't wait for this. But, okay, here we go with the first one. This is by Wizards of the Coast. This is Acquisitions Incorporated. Does anybody know what that is? Does anybody know? It's from the Penny Arcade guys. And this is a book chronicling how to kind of run a campaign like they do. And their campaign is very much, their party is very much a company that is for hire in the city. And all the things that they kind of get up to and all of that. And it's kind of fun. They started off with live shows back in the day. And I really loved Acquisitions Incorporated back in the early PAX days, Penny Arcade days. And I got something to talk about before I get into the book here. The one thing I regret, I think it's 2011. I was down at Penny Arcade Expo in Seattle. I was there with my wife and a whole bunch of people. And so my wife gets in line, she was my girlfriend at the time, to line up to see them do this show live. And Will Wheaton was going to be in it, and I was kind of excited about all of this. D&D was making a big comeback at that time, and so I got Kim to wait in line, and I said, hey, I'm just going to fly off, and I went off with my friend Games31. We were checking out a whole bunch of things at PAX, because it's just so amazing there. And then when I came back, the line had moved a little bit, and they wouldn't let me get into line. They're like, no, nobody can hold a spot in line for you. I'm like, well, what's my girlfriend? She's waiting for me. Like, nope, sorry. And so I had water that I brought us back. And so Kim's just like, she's giving me the death stare. Like, I can't believe you're late. I can't believe you didn't make it. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, oh my God. She's like, well, I've got to go in. She's like, waited like an hour and a half. So I got to go in. So I handed her the water and she went in. And it's one of the biggest regrets. I know this sounds really weird. It's a big regret I have. Because Kim came out later on and I saw the show live. Somebody posted it onto YouTube. And she said it was one of the best things she had ever seen live. She said it was so funny, so entertaining. And she's like, I was worried. She goes, like, just sitting by myself watching it, if I'd enjoy it. And she said, I really loved it. And I really wish I could have been there to see that. One of my big regrets anyway. So yeah, this is a very interesting campaign book. It's a way to kind of model your campaign after how the guys at Penny Arcade do it. And yeah, that's how you model it. It's got some great artwork in it. It's got some really cool stuff. And I gotta tell you, as a follow-up, I've been playing D&D again. And it is absolutely freaking amazing. Oh, I almost forgot about something. So I was out on the weekend with my wife. And we went into this kind of like, there's a place called Granville Island here in Vancouver. They have a lot of really interesting novelty shops. And there was a shop, it's all about dragons in there and stuff like that. And I know. And, magical crystals and all that kinds of stuff. I saw this mug and I was like, oh my God. I should say a tankard. And I was like, oh my God, that is so amazing. That'd be so great to have for D&D. And Kim's like, you know what? She's like, I'm going to get this for you. I'm like, no. It's because there's like $50. I'm like, no, just let it go. And she's like, no, I really want to get this for you. Look at this. How is that for a Dungeons and Dragons tankard? This is real metal. This thing comes out here. I already christened it with a beer on the weekend. It fits one beer perfectly. And I just was like, this is awesome. And at first I'm like, wait a second, that's not Game of Thrones, is it? Because I know it sounds funny, but I really didn't want any Game of Thrones on here. Like, Game of Thrones is cool, but I don't want it on my tankard. I want, like, a kind of just a medieval tankard onto itself. And that's what this is. It is its own thing, and so cool. I put this on Twitter, and somebody's like, where did you get it from? I got it from this little store. The best thing I can say is enter in medieval tankard on Google, and I think this shows up because I looked it up for that guy who asked, because I was like, oh man, I'd really like to help you out because this is great. So when I'm DMing, I got this by my side, and that is such a cool thing. Okay, my last and final things to show here are really neat, and I want to thank my friend Kid Shoruken. I paid him for going and getting this stuff for me, but I gotta thank him for doing the trek to this place in Akihabara. Oh my God. Okay, So, there's a little thing that happens in Japan. A store will open up. It's called a pop-up store. It opens up only for 2 weeks for different shows in Japan. So sometimes there's a Cowboy Bebop pop-up shop. And it only shows up for 2 weeks. They have exclusive merchandise. They sell it, and then it's gone, and it's done. They sell out. It's over. And so Jim, my friend, he goes there all the time to see what new pop-up shop is going to be showing up. And he's like, John, just so you know, there's a Megazone pop-up shop. And I'm like, are you for real? And for a lot of you out there who do not know, Megazone is an old late 80s, kind of early 90s animes that was released in Japan. It was like an OVA series, an original video animation series, and one I absolutely adore. I love this anime series so very much. And for a Megazone pop-up shop to show up in Japan for 2 weeks with exclusive merchandise, I was like, oh no, this is a problem. This is going to be a bit of a problem. And Jim's like, I'm going to go down anyways. Is there anything you want me to pick you up? And so there's a list of all the stuff that's going to be on sale. And there was 2 t-shirts that I want to get. 2 t-shirts, and he grabbed these for me. And I have not seen them yet. I've not taken them out of this box here. The first thing is, when they went into the shop, it came with a poster. And this is so cool. Look at this. This is from the very first Megazone. Megazone 2-3 Part 1. And that's Shogo on his bike there, and the garland, and what beautiful artwork. This is some of my favorite artwork from the anime. So thanks, Jim. I'm gonna, you know what? I'll put it on the wall here somewhere so it doesn't get lost that way. These are the 2 shirts that I got, and I have not looked at them yet. I just I took them out, the top layer of the box off, so we can have a look at this. Okay, here we go. Here's the first one. And these sold out within a few days, just so you know. Here's the first one, Garland, Megazone 2-3. That is the mecha. It's a transformable motorcycle. Let's just show that one more time. So great. These are going to be my new shirts to wear around the apartment here. That's for sure. That is for sure. I have shirts that I wear that are comfort shirts that I wear all the time. I have this goddamn Macross World shirt that I've been wearing since 2015. And it's just the best of the best. I always wear that shirt. And here we go. This is a good one. This is so nice. We'll get that nice and close to the camera there. Megazone 2-3. And there we have the garland transformed into robot mode. So cool. And big thanks to my friend Kid Shuriken for going to the pop-up store and grabbing these things. All the footage I'm showing of that pop-up store was from Jim's channel. Definitely check him out. Kid Shuriken, great channel. He goes and visits a bunch of stores in Japan, and he also does a lot of video game reviews, a lot of Japanese video game reviews that are absolutely fantastic. So, guys, we've made it to an end of another new Game Stuff episode, and lots of really fun things to look at this month. And so, anyways, guys, until next time.